all these things you're getting, and you stand up when I talk about you can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. We can't. But I did something that was, I don't know, foolish, brave, but it was smart. I would do it again, but I thought the numbers would be much worse. I thought the stock market would go down much more. I thought the oil prices would go up much more. I said, but we have no choice. Either it does or doesn't. I have to do what's right. We can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So I called in. Scott Bessel and all of my people, mostly my financial people, and I said, all right, folks, congratulations. We just hit the highest price in the history of the stock market. So said the Dow would never hit 50 during my 4 years because it was too much of a raise. They thought 6-7 years out, maybe it could hit 50,000. They said the S&P could never hit 7,000. Right, Scott? That would be even more unlikely. Maybe at the end of the fourth year, but probably not. It would be 5-6 years out. And we hit 50,000 on the Dow before the end of my first year. We hit 7,000 on the S&P before the end of my first year. The stock market is rocking and rolling. Your 401ks are at the highest they've ever been. I don't have to list. I don't know how the hell you could be doing badly. But your 401ks are setting records. I have people coming up to me and saying, you made me a hero to my wife. You've made me a hero. I've had numerous policemen. I had one guy from years ago because I did the same thing. We had the greatest financial markets in the history of our country in my first term. We're blowing it away now. We're blowing everything away. There's never been a country this successful in that sense before. But yeah. But now I said, okay, you ever do this when you're doing so well? I said, so we just set every record. We have the highest market in history. We have things that just going. By the way, there are more jobs today in our country than at any time in the history of our country by far. Right? So, but we have to think a little long term. And I said to Scott and Howard and all of the people that worked for me, great people, Jameson, Greer, all of them. I called them in and said, fellas, congratulations. We have the highest stock market we've ever had. Everyone's doing great. Oil prices were very low. They were 60 and 70. You were buying oil for $2 and even less. Remember, just a couple of months ago, you were at $2 and 185. I was in Iowa. It was 185 a gallon. Hey. I said, congratulations. I can't type back, but I can see you said, hey. Hi, Noah. Because we have to take a little journey down to a beautiful country known as Iran. And we have to make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon. We stopped them with the B-2 bombers. If we didn't do that, we would have had a nuclear weapon. Israel would have been blown to pieces. The Middle East. Donald Trump being Donald Trump. Europe would have been blown to pieces. But under what we were doing, I said, look, we're going to have to make this journey. So it's almost like we built up this great thing. And then I said, how you doing today, Noah? We have to go and do it. And the only thing that I'm surprised is... welcome all visitors. Rachel, Donald Trump. Yay! Can you hear him clearly? I have it up real loud on the TV, and I'm just recording this because this is kind of the way to get to you, I hope, in case you don't have Fox News or something. They have no leaders. Their leaders are all down in very soft, very fine people. But with all of that, I said we have to do it. So I think you understand. But I am surprised. Right? I thought the stock market would go down by 25%. I thought the oil price. When's that going to happen? Much higher than they are right now. They're not nearly as high as I thought. Hey, Cammie. And we're gonna, like we're winning so big. I don't know. Some people don't know whether to like him or hate him or whatever. Maybe they just find him annoying. And is he doing right? Is he doing good? Is he doing bad? I mean, just speak your mind. Within the first week. Hi, Cammie. 159 out of 159 ships are right now lying at the bottom. He's doing bad. The Navy is gone. You wouldn't know it by the way he talks. And we're discussing, I spoke to him today, we're discussing, it's a little hard to figure out who their leaders are, frankly. The leaders are gone. So are you. The second side is gone, Khomeini was gone. And they were pretty evil people. Not pretty evil, they were evil. They killed. What is it about Israel you don't like? I just, is it Netanyahu or something? You just don't like him? Or you just don't like Israelis? What is it you don't like? Just be nice to know. stop it. If this were a fight, they'd stop it. You know that expression? It's true. But they're not coming through with the kind of deal that we have to have, and we're going to get this thing done properly. We're not going to leave early and then have the problem arise. Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate that. I've been doing this for, God, 10, 15 years now. And I have the same 2,000 subscribers I ended up starting with. And I don't know how to get my viewership up or what I need to do. And hyping. You mean it's all hype? What are you trying to say? And hyping. I have to look that one up. What's that mean? And then they don't go to interview. They'll just put it down, whatever they want. They say we scoured the countryside. Thank you, Cami. Watching television, they say, "Oh, let's give Trump a little bit of an advantage. It makes him happy." Under 4 years of crooked Joe Biden, the average 401k rose at the rate of 800. I certainly don't like the way he constantly attacks Joe Biden. He could spend his time more productively talking about creative things that help us rather than to insult the past. He would have gone down. They took over the momentum of what we created in the first 4 years, which was incredible. Under Trump, so it's $875. Under Trump, the number 875 is the rise $30,000. So it's the Muslims. What do you want to do with the Muslims? $30,000. Colette. For seniors, that number is 50. That's President Trump speaking at the villages in Florida. Enjoy your material. But before we do, I want to share with you this. I sat down with Kid Rock, who is kicking off tonight his Freedom 250 tour right here in Dallas. And I spoke to him about his. Do you like Kid Rock? From patriotism to his support for the United States military. We want to share that with you. Tell me a little bit about this tour. You're not just here in Dallas, you're going to be all over. Yeah, we're doing 14 shows between rock and country and the Freedom 250 tour. And I mean, it was Kid Rock. Pretty patriotic in my shows. And this was just an excuse to take it completely over the top. So I got a couple cannons made. I have a Liberty Bell. Yes, God bless our troops. I know that under Pete Hegseth, they're trying to do their best. And he does love the troops. That's for darn sure. And I saw him fighting and standing up for him the other day in Congress. He does love our troops. God bless our troops is right. Good call. Good material. I've been walking through the woods at night. You know, just real. It's. I don't think there's ever been a more patriotic rock and roll show in the history of rock and roll. You just said I've always been pretty patriotic in my shows. Has it always been the case, or was there a moment for you? Like when I started listening to you in the '90s, I'm not sure that was as big a part of your image as it is today. Was there something that happened or changed? I mean, it was still a little more, had a little more edge to it. I mean, you know, American Badass was on my second successful record, but that was not necessarily this big patriotic song. I think it really started with Welcome Muslims. The USS Cole. And my mother really encouraged me from her brother being a. I don't think there's anybody here that sees you, Rachel, and thinks Muslim good, Muslim bad, or anything. Just welcome Muslims. We welcome everybody. 17 sailors lost their lives, so we ended up. I imagine you're all from America. And that really started just a whole another level of not just patriotism. I just never met anybody outside of my own country, the United States of America, that has been on my program before. War-torn country around the world, and as we know, those were some long wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. So it's really been some of the toughest work I've ever done, but hands down the most rewarding and something that I couldn't be more proud of. I didn't know that about them playing your music when they told that out. They told them that they could play patriotic music, and one of the sailors kind of locked the door and put on American Badass. Welcome back, Cammy. We missed you. Don't go away too so much. Hi. And then I met with all those, with all those sailors and stuff, and it just really snowballed from there. It was like, wow, this is the right thing. Kid Rock's on, Cammy. He's to be able to go talking about his tour, for America, 250th, anniversary. He's doing that thing. They end up thanking you profusely with coins and flags and gifts and all this other stuff. And it's just incredible. And I say that
Thanking you for being there.
yes, and I say that to employ. I know a lot of celebrities have done it. I say it always, and I try to hammer it home. If you haven't done it, I would encourage you to do it. All you have to do is reach out and make a call. They're happy to have you. They can send you anywhere. You can go to a base by your house here in America. You can fly to Afghanistan if you want, but it's just it means so much to be there for our troops.
You were in the news this week. You were in Washington, D.C. with our, in all transparency, mutual friend, the Secretary of War. And the press is saying, here is the United States military giving Kid Rock a joyride.
See you tomorrow, Cam. You have a great night, wherever you're at.
Yeah, what a spin. I mean, this is what
May life treat you well. God bless you.
This is nothing new, not just for me, but for any celebrity, musician, athlete, actor, anything who's done USO tours and things for our troops. I mean, through 2 decades, it's not my first time on helicopters. I've flown Blackhawks to FOBs, and they've given me a little cowboy action in them. Shot 50 cows hanging out of Schnooks over Iraq, and refueled fighter jets on K-5s, shot grenade launchers. That's part of the thing. You do stuff for the military, and they want to showcase to you what they do. So whether it's they're showing you their technology or letting you shoot a gun or participate in something, that's kind of what you do. And we were talking about the first Apache thing that happened where they kind of stopped by my house and said what's up, which I thought was awesome. I told Peter, so what can I do? I know the press is trying to spin this into a negative, and it's such a positive thing, as he knows, as I know, from doing stuff that I've done, him from serving, of what this does for morale for our troops. I mean, you can't speak about morale.
Where's everybody from? Just curious.
What a big deal it is. And I've seen it firsthand, like I said, for decades. So I said,
Mention the town you're from or something.
He said, well, whenever you want to come
Please.
let me know. I said, day of the day, I'll be there. I'm on dime. No problem. So that day came Monday. They said, come on out. And they had, they weren't just going to come out and have me fly in an Apache. It worked out great because I was like, he said, we're also going to take a ride in an Apache. But
I guess I meant mention the town you're from in the chat.
So you go to the Pentagon, do some troop visits there. I filmed is it Ticks for Vets that we're announcing today. We'll give you 250. Pete taped it with me at PSA. We're giving you 250 tickets each show, my Freedom 250 tour and Rock the Country. 2 veterans, but we're also giving them up to an additional 3 tickets so they can take the people that serve right along with them, their families that from behind the scenes sometimes don't get taken care of. So there was a lot of messages from Memorial Day America 250. It was all that. But of course, the press just focuses on, they were joyriding in Apaches. Trust me, it was a joyride.
And the argument that is being made, Kid, is that you are getting perks from the United States military because of your relationship with Pete, whether or not it's going up in Apaches or having an intro to your show. And we've been showing the images on the screen while you've been talking. Your argument to me in reverse is, I've been doing this for 20 years with the United States military.
While you're here, folks, if you could subscribe and click on notifications and maybe a like if you like, that'd be really nice. Thank you very much.
Countries for days. It's all on the internet. It's all.
I'm Minister Charles Nolen from behind the scenes right now.
I think I bring this up again.
Welcome to my channel. I just try and bring you the most up-to-date current event.
You're talking this way now, and I know you mean it, by the way. But you're also capable of having a friendship with someone that you disagree with. And here we are, another attempt on President Trump's life, and the country's talking crazy, and people are rhetorically edging this on more and more and more. And this idea of the relationship between you and Mar, or me and a number of friends, is either not highlighted or dying away.
It was such a positive thing for our country. It's such a
fascinating dynamic, by the way.
Well, we need more of this. You know what I mean? Call it whatever it was, call it what it is. But no, they bury those stories, especially with me and people like
me. It appears that Kid Rock and Donald Trump go way back.
I'm from the school of
at least until his last presidency, maybe even longer. Who knows?
Absolutely incredible. Going to have some of what you described. I don't think I wish I did.
You can hear my birds in the background.
I would say people that are.
I got 2 parakeets and 1 pineapple green cheek conure.
It's going to be everywhere after tomorrow night. We know how the internet works. I would say I get the people that can't come and the people in Europe and all this stuff, like, yeah, check it out, whatever you want. But if you're coming,
welcome to the program.
Try to. It's like taping your favorite sports game and you hear the score before you get to watch it.
I played my 14-year-old some of your music last night, and he's like, "This is really good. I really like this." And I had to decline an invitation to go tomorrow night, but I am going to accept it somewhere. I guess it won't be in Dallas, but I am going to come up to have it. Thank you, man. Kid Rock, good to see you, man. Thanks, Will. And if you want to hear Kid Rock give his impersonation of the ladies of The View, or you want to see me beat Kid Rock in a very competitive game of Flumper Pool, head over to the Will Kane Show social channels at X, Instagram, TikTok. We appreciate you hanging out with us today. We hope you will set your DVR so you never miss an episode. But now it's time for us at the end of this week to give you over to the 5.
Uh-oh, it's the 5. But don't forget, this is Fox News Live. So we're 5 o'clock on the East Coast.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bertha McCallum, along with Kennedy, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock. It's Friday, and we're in New York City, and this is the 5.
That's so cool. The graphics, anyway.
Let's just say,
Howdy, Henry.
I won't use the word, an attempt, they say, on my life. I should be indoors.
Somebody attempted his life?
Or I can quietly.
Would you want to live in his shoes,
My term.
whether you like him or not?
That comes in our way.
That's a dangerous life.
President Trump in Florida, his first public event since the third assassination attempt on his life. This as we get shocking new footage of the would-be assassin running right through one of, there he goes, through the security mags that we all walked through that night, just a short time before that, at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Hasn't been a week since that failed attempt, but liberals are flocking to the streets to protest President Trump and billionaires because it's May Day, protesting what they describe as rising fascism in America. Oh, that looks like it hurts. Some attempting to chain themselves to the New York Stock Exchange in Lower Manhattan today. Others chanting a modified version of the phrase that got James Comey indicted this week. Watch.
Say no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
And the usual gang of anti-Trump celebrities egging these protesters on. Watch.
Our country runs because of working people, not the billionaires or the politicians.
And when people come together, we can make our voices heard. No work, no school, no shopping. Refuse business as usual, and let's force a change.
What do we want to do for today? Dreams on you first.
Workers over billionaires. This Friday be the first we're going to get them the pocketbook, which is the only thing they care about. All right, workers over billionaires. Harold.
Yes.
What do you think of this movement, watching all these kids out here, and the idea that they're told not to go to school in a country where we clearly have an education crisis, and clearly a lot of these kids don't understand how the economy works in the United States.
You're back?
So first,
Hammy?
glad you're here.
Oh, no, you. No, that's Henry. Sorry, the chat changed.
I probably wouldn't do it this way, Martha, the way that some of the rallies are being held, but I sort of take things at their core. I watch conservative protests or conservative expressions of things that they may want, and I watch liberals do similar things. I think at the heart of this is a call for things to be more affordable. I don't necessarily think you have to do it this way, but we have a tremendous and glorious and perhaps inglorious tradition of this kind of protest in our country.
Boy, does that look painful.
The challenge, I think, for everybody in the political system today is that no answers are really being provided. I heard you earlier today on your show, and I thought you were great talking about some of the education shortcomings in Chicago's public school system and other school systems across the country. But we need to be honest. With gas prices where they are, the kind of uncertainty people have in their lives, the Republicans aren't necessarily offering great ideas, and Democrats are not offering them either. And as a result, I think you see these kind of expressions happening across the country. You may agree with some of the things they're saying. You may disagree totally with what they're saying. But one thing is clear. Even where the president is today in Florida, he's talking a lot about things that I supported. No taxes on tips and Social Security. But one of the challenges that people face.
All opinions are welcome here.
the government in terms of their hard-earned money, tax dollars being returned to them. They're spending on groceries because groceries are higher in cost and gas is higher in cost. And I think we're going to see more expressions like this until election day, more likely than not. Sorry, my voice, my allergies are messing with me.
Yeah,
Oh, Henry, and you and your allergies.
Harold is talking about this issue that we're seeing and these protests that we're seeing in a sort of organic protest way that things have happened over this country. You know, I think about what happened in Boston before the Declaration of Independence. You know, those were pretty organic in terms of their nature. But what we're learning about a lot of these groups is that there's 600 different groups. They're funded by a lot of organizations, $2 billion. This is why you see matching signs everywhere. And one of the scariest things about it
Did you take the food out of the car?
Namani has done that links it to the Chinese Communist movement and government in China. This is a pretty elaborate way to try to undermine the American economy and American people, but also a very effective one. And it's interesting that, you know, much of this propaganda is emanating from China, which is a communist country, and May Day is Communist Labor Day. That's what May Day has always been in parts of Europe and even parts of South America. They have the day off where communism gained purchase over the decades and centuries. Communism doesn't.
On the right, that's Kennedy, and she has her own podcast called Kennedy Saves the World.
The propaganda comes from a communist place, which, you know, people are very worried about China. America will always trump China because people here like to work. And the idea of this protest is, you know, let's work less. Let's have a life based on leisure where rich people fund our wish lists. You know, and they say they don't want any billionaires, but it's very interesting that there are plenty of billionaires who are linked to these ultra leftist causes. You also have a woman who is married to a billionaire, Jane Fonda, sitting there trying to exhort people to take time off, don't work, don't go to school, don't shop. Very easy for people like her and Robert De Niro to say when they will never have to worry about money for the rest of their lives. And the problem is what they're selling you is not aspiration. It is
Really
not
is.
their way of life. It is not capitalistic. It is not creative. They want you to suckle off the teat of other people. They
What?
want to confiscate wealth and give it to you because you have somehow earned it by virtue of not being ambitious. That is utter hogwash. And it is a worldview that has to be absolutely abandoned. And I have faith in the American worker, you know, not the proletariat who's being sold an empty bill of goods, but the person who is willing to toil into the night on an idea they have that might change the world, because the only way they could put that idea into action is if they're living in the United States of America. And the only way they can do that is if America remains free and not a socialistic high-tax state. Jesse, it's so interesting as we look at the 250th anniversary of the country, and it was a declaration of independence from kings, right? And you have these no kings rallies that are going on. But I think about the fact that essentially for a lot of this movement, the new king is the government. And they want the government to run everything for them. And as Kennedy rightly points out, you know, the country was built on spirit, hardworking spirit. I think about Tom Brady saying, no days off, right? No days off. But these people want everybody to take the day off from school, from work, from all kinds of industry.
I wish I had the day off. It's beautiful outside. Call me again.
Yeah, Jesse, get the day off, would you?
The billionaires organized the thing, okay? And they're all holding iPhones made by a billionaire. They all wearing clothes that they ordered off Amazon made by a billionaire, and then they're all going to hop into Teslas and drive home, built by a billionaire, unless they didn't burn it.
And don't forget, they're going to go home and they're going to look at their EBT or SNAP card, or food stamp card with their billionaire status. That's the latest.
So either someone dies or they overthrow the government. This is about overthrowing.
Doesn't matter if it's the blue or the red. It's happening on both sides of the fence.
January 6th look like model citizens. I mean, we're, so far so good. Peaceful protests. No one's burned anything. No one's broken any windows. And I'd rather have them do this and light fires. And they might light fires tonight. Remember, this is going on all day. And at 5, they start drinking. And once they start drinking, they get in the cop's face, and then it gets rowdy. So we'll see how angry they really are. The ICE stuff's kind of died down. That's not driving it. The Iran war hasn't lit the fuse that you'd expect. And I bet they probably couldn't even name 5 billionaires.
Really have a chain on here.
It looked like a guy, dark shirt, and it looked like the big guy in the background was pulling that chain.
Because we always vote for these guys.
Looked like the guy with the black shirt on was getting hurt.
Maybe if we could organize it and say one day
He was tied to he chained himself to the stock exchange. What the heck?
we get summer Fridays off. We can do that. We actually have the power in our hands, in our phones to do stuff like this. It's like collective bargaining. We should try it.
You now for unionization?
Yes. If I get Fridays in the summer off, yes.
Really hard. It's a good cause. We could all probably get behind. I saw one of the flags right downtown with they're waving a Cuban flag, and I thought, the people of Venezuela are now
Pathetic, man.
Maduro.
The Iranians just show their face over here.
But they're waving Cuban flags, and they may be
And they're
next on the
Cuban.
list for overthrowing the government. And people in Venezuela are elated that they don't have to deal with this socialist oppressor anymore. And yet these folks seem to want that kind of government.
There's not a single country that went through communism or socialism that is now free that want to go back. The only people who embrace communism and socialism are those who haven't experienced
Dumb Americans.
hampered enough in their present day lives to enjoy a lifestyle independent of their own policies. The left and the media always try to catch you associating with problematic groups or people.
Appreciate you subscribing, clicking on notifications, and slapping me a like, would you?
That's bad. Meanwhile, you have Jane Fonda, Robert De Niro, Bette Midler, others who are joining up and promoting the Maoist Communist Union, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, the Communist Party of the USA. I mean, that should kind of taint who they are. I mean, May Day tends to be about honoring workers, but it really is about elevating activists who.
This so has been. Robert De Niro.
All of them.
All these people, they're not even popular anymore.
Prisoners, any free enterprise, eliminating military bases. None of these things matter to these people because they're untouched by it.
What do you think happens? George Soros gets on the phone, knows these guys personally, and says, "Could you do me a favor and get on television and just say blah, blah, blah?" What do you think happens?
The money those jackasses have, while De Niro and Bette Midler tell you not to, go to work, they have piles of cash earning interest every day. They make millions off a coalition of real estate and stock portfolios. They can take a day off, a month off, a year off because their money works around the clock. How did that happen? It's not socialism. That's a capitalism. They don't have bosses. They don't have a work schedule. And they don't require a salary that would feed kids because they're so well off. Their definition of work is looking at their investments. So they can do this. The other thing, too, is when you look at them, they really are aging celebrities who have nothing left but a shred of ego and a diminished status. One of the things Trump did, winning in 2016 and then in 2024 and in 2020, he exposed their irrelevance. Being part of the zeitgeist and part of culture, you think that you have some kind of impact. They didn't. They had no impact. Robert De Niro is in denial. Jane Fonda is in denial that they are not important to us. They are not important to the world. Their embrace of activism is an attempt to salvage their ego collapse. This is a giant hole that they feel that was filled once with their own self-importance, and it's empty. So they just get smaller. Look at De Niro right there. De Niro was a giant figure in cinema. Now he's so small and so petty. He's like a crusty knot of resentment.
Ouch.
And when you look at De Niro, that is what ego looks like. It's in human form, this kind of sad, frail thing that needs its own protection. But now Trump just stripped it away, and this is what they have. I love it.
I think
I agree with what you said there.
Harold.
I don't agree with it.
Harold.
I agree. We cannot. We have to make. They should be talking about how do you make innovation possible for everyone again. I mean, that's the key. Not asking people not to go to work. I know you weren't talking about unionization, but you're making fun of it a little bit. But I think that That's what's wrong. And you nailed it. You can't tell people not to go to work. That's what America is.
That's when everybody's working. You know,
We got to make it. They should be saying, how do we make it profitable again for everyone? Not how we.
Summer Friday's optional. We'll make them optional. And you can dream and you can achieve things and you can be whoever you want to be as an individual, not as some.
I want to be a reviewer of the Five and of the Will Kane Show and the Fox News and then this one and then that one. Why not?
Mrs. Sater of this family on Friday. We keep yabbering about this. We're coming up next. This is Rich. After endlessly calling Trump a Nazi, Democrats are closing up to a candidate who has a Nazi tattoo.
Camping World is America's used RV supercenter.
Well, folks,
Anyone.
I'm just going to say to you that it's been a pleasure doing the program here from the house. And I just wanted to let you know that the world is changing and it's changing fast. Whether you're got your seatbelt on or not, it's happening. We just got to keep up with it as best we can. Stay alive, stay wise, and keep your eyes on God.